The ALH TDI pretty much came from the factory with about 100,000 miles on it. All right, so you think you want to buy a Volkswagen with over 100,000 miles, huh? Well, stick around. I'm going to tell you a few reasons why that is the worst idea you've ever had, brother. Even though I found one on Marketplace today and I had a really hard time not going to buy it. All right, let's go. So when it comes to Volkswagens, Golfs, Jettas, Passats, all these cool cars with big turbos on them, they're fun to drive. They are a blast. They handle very well for the most part, unless you're in a Tiguan or something like that. A little bit bigger, a little bit higher off the ground, but they all have their purpose. But with all that fun that you're having comes maintenance. And anything to do with a European vehicle, not only Volkswagen, the maintenance and service fees on these cars are astronomical if you don't know what you're doing and you're not doing it yourself. Even then, it can still be very, very expensive. So follow me and I will show you why you should not be purchasing a Volkswagen or really anything European with over 100,000 miles. So German cars are typically built very, very well, and I appreciate the engineering that goes into these cars. I think they're the best. I think they're the best out there, and I wouldn't never not have a Volkswagen. But that being said, they are built like tanks, and when tanks go down, they get pricey, okay? Especially when parts are scarce. For example, I had a Mark V R32, and to get a front bumper for that, I had to drive from Michigan to, I think we went to Delaware to buy it, just for the front bumper. You just can't buy a Mark IV or a Mark V R32 bumper. All right, so another thing that you have to worry about with these cars over 100,000 miles is if you really, really want one with 100,000 miles, you're getting a great deal on it. Make sure that the timing chains are done. The timing chains are very notorious for failing, are skipping timing, and then your motor blows up, and then you have a big Volkswagen paperweight, basically. So it's very, very important that you know the car's history, whether that was done, because if you buy a car with 100,000 miles on it, you should immediately take it to somebody that knows what they're doing so that they can change those out for you. And that's going to cost you probably right around $1,800 to $2,500 depending on where exactly you're at in the country. So that's something to think about as well. So not all Volkswagens have turbos, but when they do, they tend to go. Okay, and it's right around that magical number, right around 80,000 to 100,000 miles. Most of these MQB platforms or the 1.8s and the 2.0s, anything from your Golfs, your Alltracks, your Golf Rs, your GTIs, they all have the same turbo build. They either have the IS-12, the IS-20, or the IS-38, and they're all built for the most part the same. What happens with these turbos is that they have an electronic wastegate actuator, and the actuator ends up going bad, or the wastegate door becomes loose, and what happens is you have to replace the turbo, all right? And that turbo failure is going to end up running you about $1,500 to $2,000, again, depending on where exactly you're at in the country. Also, you could do it yourself and save a little bit of money, but that's up to you. I want you to do your own research. I want you to go out and look at a Volkswagen that's got 100,000 miles on it, price out all these things that start to like really break down at 100,000 miles, and your jaw will drop when you see the price tag and the maintenance repairs on these cars. So this pretty much goes for any type of vehicle, but your suspension components when it comes to a vehicle with 100,000 miles, you're looking at your tie rods, your struts, your brakes, tires, all this stuff that just adds up. And all that stuff costs money. So why would you buy a Volkswagen with 100,000 miles when you can find one with 30,000 miles and maybe pay $2,000 more for the car? You know what I'm saying? And a lot less wear and tear on the vehicle. Hey, look, another reason to stray away from buying, oopsies, a high mileage Volkswagen. Again, this can kind of be applied to any vehicle that you're purchasing with over 100,000 miles or say 80,000 miles. You're gonna have carbon buildup, and that's gonna affect your MPGs, your miles per gallon. And the car, when it was brand new, probably got right around 25 to 30 miles per gallon new. But now that it's all carbony and nasty, you're probably gonna get about 20, maybe 18, even if it's bad. I don't know. Really bad. So you definitely want to take that into consideration when you're buying a high mileage vehicle, So you want to be cautious about buying Volkswagens with all-wheel drive systems. And these are great cars, beautiful cars. They're some of the best cars, okay? But one thing that you do want to take into consideration is that there are more mechanical features to those cars. You have another drive shaft. You have a holodeck unit. You have a different rear differential, to where a front-wheel drive car wouldn't have any of that. So those are things that you want to make sure have been maintained properly or are not damaged in any type of way. Yeah, I'm just throwing this out there because my car has a rear diff, and it is no longer a rear diff probably inside. It's probably a million bajillion pieces that I just don't want to deal with right now. So yes. So Volkswagens tend to lose their resale value pretty rapidly. I saw a 2010 Tiguan today for sale for $2,000. And it was a nice car, rust-free. The interior was leather, and it was a beautiful car. But there's a massive reason as to why that car is so cheap. It's because the parts for it are fairly expensive. If that car doesn't have the timing chains done, if it doesn't have a new water pump, and if it doesn't have a new turbo, you need to walk away from a deal like that, because those 3 parts right there will bury you in a cost that's worth more than what you actually paid for the car itself. So I'm not saying all Volkswagens are bad with high mileage. Take, for example, the ALH, the TDI ALH. Say you found one with 320,000 miles on it. I wouldn't shy away from something like that. The ALH TDI pretty much came from the factory with about 100,000 miles on it. And then those cars are fairly mechanical, so they don't have a ton of electrical. The fuel rails on them are still a mechanical pump. So they're fairly easy to work on. The turbos are quite accessible, and you can still find parts for them like crazy, dude. So not all Volkswagens with over 100,000 miles are bad. If you find one with an extensive maintenance history, the person really took care of it. It shows up on the Carfax that it's been to the dealer a bunch of times for service. The owner might even have their own log of things. That probably isn't a bad deal, especially if the timing chain, the water pump, the turbo, all those big ticket items have really been serviced or replaced at that point. That's probably not a bad deal. Maybe if it's something that you're really looking into and really considering, have it checked out by a mechanic, somebody that will go and look at the car and tell you whether or not it's junk or if it's a good deal. So what do you guys think? Are you gonna buy that 100,000 mile Volkswagen, or are you gonna leave it? Drop a comment below if you guys thought this video was helpful in any way. And also, I'd love to hear about your Volkswagen stories. Drop those in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, babe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace. All these people are driving past me probably thinking, what the is this guy doing? Out in the rain, filming in front of his car. Oh yeah, they're staring. Nice, brother, nice. Good looks. What are you doing?